So earlier last week or something, there was a video that Hasbro put out about the early days of Dungeons and Dragons because they re-released some history stuff and some historical printings. And anyway, so there was this video of somebody from Wizards of the Coast and representing Hasbro and WOTC, that a lot of stuff that Gary Gygax and Dave Arneson did would not pass today's inclusivity tests. Get it. I got it. The stuff was written in the mid to late 70s, early 70s, somewhere when the whole concept started. A lot of it was produced early 80s. But the world was different 40, 50 years ago, right? It's not the same as it is today. You could say things that you couldn't say today. There were acceptable behaviors that are not acceptable today. I'm not justifying those behaviors. I'm not saying they're right. I'm not saying they're wrong, but the world was a different place. So trying to look backwards and go, oh my God, they were so wrong. They were so, it doesn't really work. What you can do, I think, is you can go back and say, my God, these guys had a brilliant idea. It gets people to come together and play a game and use their imagination and fosters creativity and fellowship and camaraderie. And it doesn't really maybe have the right language in it. But the thing that I don't think Hasbro understands, or maybe they do, and they're just kind of purposely ignoring it because of what's printed in the book. When I played in the 80s, there was no exclusion. I mean, there were girls, there were boys, there were people of color, you name it. Nobody was ever sent away from the table for any reason. Nobody ever said, nobody, any group I ever played with was like, you know what? No, we can't. Every table I've ever been at has been shockingly inclusive. There's never been anybody sent away that I've seen it. I've been playing for 40 plus years. Everybody I've talked to says the same thing. And I don't know that it's 100% true, but I can tell you that I don't believe anybody has necessarily been excluded over the years. There have been some people that get really crazy about which edition you play. And if you play fifth edition or third edition and they want to play first edition, they won't let you come play with them because you're trying to hit the wrong notes. And I don't understand that personally, but that's a different argument. So maybe there's been some exclusion in those cases that's been confused, trying to give Hasbro the benefit of the doubt, although maybe they don't deserve it at this point. Um, but what I can tell you is that every player I've ever met has been a person who is always just kind of looking for the place they fit in the world. And they always feel excluded for some reason. And the type of people who've been excluded from other stuff would never purposely exclude someone. I mean, you just don't do it, right? If you're the misfit, if you're the island of misfit toys, you don't ever send a toy away. You welcome everybody. And that's kind of what I feel that Hasbro is missing. The language may not pass today's marks. I get that. However, the players and the people around the tables would never reject anyone for doing anything. And I've seen some people do some crazy character shit that you might look at and go, why the hell are they doing that? But nobody has ever said you can't play your character that way. I've never witnessed that. You can play your character any which way you freaking want to. I don't really care. But that's just part of the game. So while Hasbro is on this thing where they're trying to sort of erase it and say, oh, look, Gygax and Arneson were wrong, what they can't do is say Gygax and Arneson were idiots because they built something that brought together people who had no place else to really bond with other humans. And I think they did a wonderful job at that. I think it's fantastic. Um, so while they're on this sort of rage of let's erase history, I think we have to examine potentially why. And I think what they're trying to do is separate themselves from the Gygax Arneson days and say, look, we're really Dungeons and Dragons now. It's us. And they are. They own it, right? They've been producing it for years, and that's not going to change. So, I don't think they need to separate themselves. I think they need to embrace the past and look to a future that can unite the players like myself who are in their 50s, who ain't going anywhere. And, for 30 years, I'm not planning on kicking off anytime soon. And if my doctors are right, I'm going to be fine. Um, I'm not sick. I'm just saying. I go to doctors all the time, and they're like, "You're perfectly healthy. You can live another 35 years, no problem." So, my point is, you can't ignore the players of old in favor of the players of new. What you need to do is kind of get those folks to work to play together. And I think that's the thing that Hasbro is kind of missing, is that, trying to unite rather than divide. And really their actions are doing nothing more than dividing. So I think they should look to unite, not separate. And that's, I think, something we should all try to do, is find ways to unite people rather than divide them into groups. I don't like division in life. I don't think anybody else likes it on purpose either. So everybody try to have a great day. You'll see me in a game every Tuesday night with Dungeon Delver, and if anybody else wants to do a live stream of a game, I'm always open. May even DM one here coming up soon. So hope everybody has a great day, and try to remember, it is a game. Enjoy yourself, and nobody else is having fun wrong. And if somebody comes up and says, "Oh, you're doing it wrong," let me know. Odds are it's just an edition discussion, like you're playing fifth edition and they're playing first or second edition. Every edition I've ever played, I've enjoyed, with the possible exception of fourth, which I think everybody can agree was sort of a mistake, but that's not because of the players. It's because they tried a different mechanic and it just didn't work. So everybody have a great weekend. Click like and subscribe. If you didn't like what I said, click the down the thumbs down, and tell me why. Always happen to listen to people who are polite. Remember that. Polite discussion is always welcome. Everybody have a great day.